Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Curse of Mother Mystery. This will be episode 8. We're playing Curse of Strahd, but the model has been changed slightly, improved, and it is set in Frostmark setting and system. There is a content warning tonight about gothic horror, gore, and bad language. And I am playing with my wonderful set of players. And we have Lady Lyria, half-elven Magus played by Julie. Say hello.
Hello.
We have Krakas, gnome ranger played by Sean. Hello.
Popcorn is great.
Nyx of the Vistani, the tiefling bard played by Adrian. Hello.
Good evening to you all.
And certainly not least, Sir Asveda, the Silver Dragonborn Paladin, played by Aeronox. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Alright. Last time on Curse of Mother Mystery, some time ago, we traveled from the Vistani camp after some tense moments. After Madame Eva had exploded, it left Nyx quite distraught, apathetic for a while. In the meantime, Dorinia, the oldest now in the Vistani camp, was trying to almost out Nyx from the camp and the community, but anger came after the deep sorrow of Nyx, and there was a tense standoff between the two. In the end, Nyx and his friends left the camp, his status among them a little bit unknown for now. They traveled up the mountain where a horrible thunderous weather besieged them, and they found harbor underneath a little cave, trying to ride out the storm. They talked a lot, survived, used their survival skills to get through it, and then they came upon this vast bridge over a chasm overlooking the Iblis River and Sere Falls and Sere Pools, and had a nice conversation with Irina there whilst the sun was out and the mist were a little bit lighter. But then they traveled on into the mountains and the hills of central Barovia, where a mysterious figure stopped them on the road, whose presence caused the mists to swirl around him, and then fingers and moaning faces were grasping and reaching up towards the man's leg. There were like soft moans coming in the direction, and he demanded what was later revealed to be a elven man that the party step out of their carriage to meet the Count of Barovia, Strahd von Zarovich. And there we shall continue. Exciting. Right, get the spray place. So, we bring it back to where we were. Krakas, Illyria, Nyx, and Asveda. The road in front of your carriage, was blocked by this elven man, who had a cold expression, but polite demeanor. And from within the shadows of the coach, a man stepped out, a half-elven man, and a tense aura, sauntered over to your position. He has alabaster skin, regal cheekbones, and deep crimson eyes. He's dressed in a red vest, pieces of leather armor pieces, some fine and striking jewelry here and there, and a billowing cloak. You all had involuntarily physical reactions to this man. Quickened breaths, heartbeats, trembling hands, leaden limbs, widened eyes. And he spoke to you. Welcome to Barovia, my emissaries. He has a dark, velvety tone, the voice caressing almost all of you in its richness. Past the quick reaction of panic you all experience, a fascination rises instead. It is all too easy to get lost in that soft yet demanding voice, too easy to become mesmerized by the swirling crimson in his eyes. It takes a few embarrassing seconds for you all to regain some of your control of your faculties and your bodies. And in that time, Nyx, Lyria, you have some individual reactions I wanna paint right now. Nyx, deep within your chest, something comes alive. A warm sensation rushes through your body, tickling your nerves and your brain with thoughts of satisfaction, amusement, and even revelry. Through your mind's eye, you feel this burning need reach out towards the figure that is standing before you, promising greater delight if you just stepped a little bit closer, if you just followed and were close to this man. Before you could ruminate on this feeling for too long, another sensation washed over your insides. This new one almost felt like a cool stream, smothering the fire inside you with chilly clarity. Your new sensation was fear and apprehension, directed towards this half-elven man once again. The warmth recovered after the first onslaught of this cold stream that went through your system, and the two forces warred inside you until all became steam, leaving your mind cloudy in confusion. You're not sure if you should pay respect and give admiration to this man or stay the fuck away. Alright, Illyria, as your mind reconnects with the rest of your body, you realize that you recognize this man. The features are eerily similar to the man in white in your nightmarish vision. But the half-elven man in front of you has red eyes, not blue, and his hair is longer and straighter. Your stomach coils in unsettling involuntary emotions, fear mixing with strange longing. And as these seconds tick by and you take everything in, the half-elven man's eyes flickers in between Asphyda and Irina as he takes the word again. I hope your journey to Barovia wasn't too arduous. What do you want to do?
Nyx will take a couple of steps back towards their own cart. Who's closest to Nyx again?
I think Irina was a little bit more in the back because she came from the back. I think Asphyda is pretty much
She's all the way at the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Crackers, perhaps.
Yeah, it makes a little bit sense for you two to stand a bit close to each other, but it's up to you.
See, Crackers, we should get going. The road is long, and we don't want to trouble this gentleman much longer. Irina, stay inside. And he'll move closer to the carriage.
The soft but demanding voice immediately responds with, "Do not take my words lightly, Vistani. These are my honored guests, and you would keep them from my honor and duty to welcome them properly as such.
Not at all. That was not my intention at all. Of course not. No. It's just merely this is a dank and rather dingy forest. I clearly not the best place for a first-time meeting, and they've been on the road. They're a little stinky. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone is tip-top shape before any sort of formalities can commence.
I'm glad you care so much about politeness and proper conduct, but do not worry, my little Vistani friend. I am only here from the bottom of my heart, wishing them welcome to Barovia at my doorstep. We, of course, shall dine in my castle. I'm only here to make sure that you're properly escorted. And whilst on the subject of gratitude, I wish to thank you for running a small errand for me. It was my purpose to claim Irina a day or two from now from the village, but you seem to have delivered my little delectable gift to my doorstep instead. I thank you all for this favor. And, and he looks at you one after the other with this piercing gaze of the swirling crimson that if you stare into his eyes for a little bit too long when he has his attention on you, you can almost feel like the edges of your vision becoming a little bit dizzy, like you're losing grip on reality. He looks towards Nyx first. His eyes are a little bit kind, but he doesn't pay too much attention to you overall. And he sweeps over his gaze towards the little crocus and says, I have heard your name to be Crocus. I assume that you are of the forest gnome variety. Even if I did not properly invite you to my lands, know that you are now. So there shall be no confusion between us. He raises his eyes towards Asphodel. Little bit of tiniest amount of apprehension but mostly curiosity. Sir Asphodel, of the Argent Purifiers of the Protectorate?
That would be correct. Yes, Count Strahd.
I am most fascinated to hear about your order, but maybe later, during dessert. And
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then,
I'm sorry.
no. I was the one who was a little bit hasty there. And then his eyes switch
would
over
like
to Illyria. Mm-hmm.
Illyria is very much, I mean, she's like trying to be polite, but also very much sort of like looking away right now, almost like having like a hands like over some. She almost feels a bit sick.
All right. Strahd's eyes move over to Illyria, and he starts. Lady Illyria of the And then his face drops. His eyes widen. And, you know, all this time he has had this very polite and regal posture. But now he takes like a unconscious step forward, pure shock over his face. Tatiana, how can it? Are you? No, that can't be right. It takes a few more steps towards you, Lyria. Still like visibly shaken. Maybe just like 3-4 meters away from you. An uncertain hand outstretched towards you.
Can Asphoda interpose just one hand in front of Illyria and Strahd?
Illyria sort of like takes a
yeah.
step back, almost like she doesn't realize, just instinctively.
Strahd's eyes immediately flicker over to you, Asphoda, and there's like an intense annoyance simmering behind his eyes, and gives you your heartbeat flutters a little bit.
She simply says, "Careful, don't you see? You've surprised her, if not upset her. That wouldn't be proper, now would it be?"
Do not lecture your elders on manners.
Then I hope that my elders know them well, when an individual is quite stunned and afraid. And she'll calmly withdraw her hand.
Illyria sort of like tries to calm herself a little, and is sort of like stands, tries to stand again, like, I mean, was, but like more normal, and says, I'm alright, really.
His eyes draws back to yours, Lyria, almost like magnets, seeking your gaze, and is more unsure now. You carry an eerie similarity to her. I wonder how that can be. No, I'm sure. Your hair might be shorter, and your muscles may be more defined. But it's like looking into a mirror. You, Lady Illyria, you will dine at my castle, and you shall remain there until I am satisfied.
You're satisfied?
Irina finally, like, she has been in the background, like, super duper scared this whole time, but after hearing these words that Strahd has uttered towards Illyria, some possessive sisterhood flares up, and she takes a step forward with quite a lot of passion, and she says, "How dare you consider us like some kind of objects that you can just imprison and do whatever you want to, okay? It should be enough that you treat me this way, but do not treat Illyria, my friend, this way. Okay? You can take me, okay? Take me to the castle, but do not take her. She's been so kind to me." And like these words just continue rushing out of her mouth.
Can I try and like stop her from moving forward and like try and restrain her a little?
Yeah. Let's roll some initiative between us two.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to see
Oh boy.
who acts faster.
Taking a page out of my book, are you? All right.
This is kind of an important moment, so
Mm-hmm.
let's see what happens.
Do you want to put the initiative roller up, or are you just gonna? Oh, you're just gonna do it
gonna
like that. Okay. Yeah. She's quick. She's quick.
Okay. So you grapple Illyria and stop her from moving forward. I would say that is more like your movement. That you want to properly grapple her as your action, or do you want to do something else?
Yeah. I want to hold her wrist from like moving forward, impulsively and with emotion. Maybe she doesn't understand the gravity of the situation. Maybe she doesn't have the feelings of hot and cold and steaminess.
No, that was individual for you.
So like holding a child back away from fire kind of thing.
All right. You hold her in your arms and you make her quiet down. But something still impacts you both. A blur. From 1 second to the other, the Count was standing in front of you. And then he starts to move too fast for your eyes to properly follow. And you're impacted. Can you roll a brawn saving throw for me?
Oh no.
Not too bad.
It's sadly not enough though.
Oof.
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 Alright. Irina is ripped out of your arms. With a force that surprises you. Like a horse has run into you both. A yelp is heard from Irina, and your heads turn to follow the impact, and she flies through the air helplessly, with her back first. Before you can blink, she impacts with a tree 5 meters behind you. A nauseating crack is heard next, and you are sure that the source was not the tree. And she slides down the tree trunk, slumps against it, and in silence, her eyes are wide with terror and surprise. She sputters weakly as blood fills her mouth and falls down her shin.
Crocus is going to run over.
Illyria immediately runs over.
Asphodel will stand between the party members helping her out and Strahd.
Yes, Strahd in that blur has returned to his original position before he approached Illyria, so he's a few meters away now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any point for Crocus to do to try and, I don't know, medically treat Illyria at this point?
Arena.
Arena.
You called her Illyria. You called her Illyria as well.
Well, that's twins. What's the problem?
It's like is Illyria like that unmemorable?
It's them eyes. They look into your soul. Oh.
I think we should do that one instead. Alright, Asphodel, you stand your ground, keeping an eye on these two imposing men in front of you. The rest of you run over towards Irina. Carcass, do a medical check with me. with intelligence.
I will be glad to do so. Num, 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 num. Mm-hmm.
18. That's good.
She's a survivor.
Well, first of all, there's a diagnose step here.
Oh.
You notice that despite the crack and the blood in her mouth, she is terrified. She is in shock, but she's not in pain. And her body is just slumped against the tree. There's no hands moving towards you or holding a body part that is hurting. They are completely and utterly lifeless. And this tells you that her spine probably was severed pretty high up.
Oh,
Would a minty greater potion of healing help with that? After those who are just like, nah.
And well, also considering the blood in her mouth, she's probably having some internal hemorrhage. And you get the feeling that a potion will not help.
An ointment, maybe? I have one of those too.
Band-aid.
oh no.
You require some powerful healing magic at this point.
God damn it, I hate magic.
Or like a super strong healing potion, but you don't have that.
I've only got a greater potion of healing with minty freshness. Oh my. I suppose I'm gonna address that to everybody and just say, Crocus is just gonna look on with like very startled eyes as he has a realization what's happening with her, and he's just like, this is beyond what we could do. Can we attempt to heal her with magic?
Illyria is just sort of like next to her, sort of like somewhat incoherently, maybe crying a little. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry.
Irina is blinking back tears, trying to like look at all your faces. Sometimes her eyes flicker up towards the sky. She is almost like both trying to find a way out of her predicament, but also like trying to drink in as much of the world around her as possible, and as fast as possible. She coughs a little bit more, and she says, I should be the one who's sorry. I should have spoken out. Forgive me. I didn't mean to cause you pain.
Nyx will he was a bit dumbfounded by the
Illyria just sort of like hugs her a little and just sort of crying. It's like he did.
She looks towards Nyx next, and there's a certain warmth in her eyes, and she seems to desperately want to be close to you.
to Nyx.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that Nyx is gonna like look at his hand and like look over to where she went, kind of like dumbfounded, and he was gonna like have this like rage building up inside him because he's had a little bit of trauma himself recently, and it's like, when would it fucking end?
All the fucking trauma.
It's always Misty and Barovia.
I hate all of this.
And yeah, he would probably want to challenge Strahd at this point and just shout out to him and say like, Why did you do that? How dare you? Fuck you! No!
No.
What did she do to you?
Strahd is like standing still, almost like a statue, looking down on his arm, and he says, "My apologies, I must have misjudged my strength."
Is that how you treat guests, Count Strahd?
She was never a guest. She's a Barovian, and I am the Count.
And here I thought you had manners. That was quite extreme. She was
simply taught badass.
How can you teach when you do not know?
That is why it was unfortunate. I grew a little bit too angry in the moment.
And what will you do to resolve this matter, Count Strahd? You have greatly, deeply upset your welcomed guests, especially Illyria.
His eyes move towards Illyria and seeing, how she's holding Irina's body, and he says, "I must apologize again. It seems I weren't aware that she meant something to her."
Well, that is the result of hasty actions. I suggest
Fine.
that
Radin, I wish you to deliver the body to her brother and tell me of the scheduled funeral so I can honor her as I did her father.
What? And when he says that, Nick's gonna run over to Illyria, fumbling in his pack for a healer's kit, and bandages in hand, and scoots up next to her on his knees and goes, "What do I do?"
Irina is full sobbing right now. She is so panicked that she can't move at all, and she can't feel anything, and her eyes are like clouding over for every second that passes. She says, "You must survive. You must take care of my brother. It's gonna be all in the world now. No, I don't want it to end like this."
I guess Nyx will panic and just say, his tattoo would flare and his eyes will glow as he casts a healing word at Illyria. No, Irina.
This is starting to annoy me just a little.
it's the name.
It's the E's at the beginning. Irina, Illyria. It's the same.
Yeah.
That's true.
Maybe Illyria is the one on the ground, and the one standing up is actually her spirit, looking down at the situation. Kind of like Sixth Sense. Didn't realize that.
Yes, Illyria is dead. Just let me roll up a new character real quick.
You've been dead this whole time, woman.
Dead the whole time.
Well, I mean, it was Krakas who was hanging dead from the gallows, so
I've been dead the whole time. This is all just sort of like Illyria's personal hell.
Damn, what did you do to deserve this?
The worst bit is the
Oh man. Oh man.
Anyway,
Oh god.
you start you cast a spell trying to heal her. The bleeding stops a little bit, but her ragged breath doesn't stop, and she becomes weaker and weaker, and staring up into Illyria's and Nick's face, she says, "Forgive me." And then her head lolls back to stare up towards the sky. And then there's nothing left.
Irina? Irina? No. Not you too. Irina. And Nyx will grab her and like hold her tightly, almost like willing his own spirit into her. And weep softly.
You are given a few moments of like peace and quiet here as Strahd and the elven man stand silently, giving you some space for a few moments. Illyria, Krakus, Aswena, do you do anything during this time?
Illyria, when obviously is like she's crying, and she has at this point set back a little to let Nyx do his thing, and just looks back towards Strahd, the elven man. Just sits there, really.
Crocus, after he did his medical check, I imagine he was kind of like pushed aside out of saying there's nothing really he can do, and it's kind of like he's just standing there with his ears down. Kind of feel disappointment in himself that he couldn't do anything about this situation, but at the same time, just looking on at this very, very sad scene, just like unable to really do anything or even find words.
Aspida, clearly getting the message here, simply says, "What have you done, Count Strahd?" This is certainly not the meeting I had envisioned to have with you. I expected something cordial, proper, words to be spoken instead of actions. But I have found death.
There's strange beauty to Barovia that you have not yet grasped, I see, but do not worry. I will teach you in time. And I assure you that I offer all the hospitality of my house and name to you emissaries as well, Divestani, but I will not have diplomats from another nation criticize me of how I treat my property.
Well, unfortunately, your property, as broken as it is now, has caused a devastating effect to my fellow Illyria.
Well,
And I
Irina
think
was
that
dear to my heart. She was of a certain unique beauty and elegance. I would not have let her die. I would have raised her as one of my own kind, but out of respect towards Illyria and some kind of punishment for the awkward situation that I have caused, I shall grant her the gift of a peaceful slumber.
did he say Illyria or Irina?
Irina, did I say wrong? Fuck.
Yeah, you did.
Fuck. I will grant Irina.
Illyria?
I will grant Irina the gift of a peaceful slumber.
It's not me who you must convince of the worth of your gift, but the person you've deeply affected. and she just gestures to said Illyria and like steps to the side. Like, like kind of like waving a hand to, yeah, here's your moment. Don't talk to me. Kind of, here's your
Yes.
chance, buddy.
Let's start to Illyria. Oh god.
Strahd furrows his brows and he says instead, "The hour grows late. I have plenty of time to make up for this unfortunate first meeting. I await you at my dinner table in the castle."
Of course, all the time, but do mind the interest made. And she and Asphoda will calmly walk back to the party and kind of give some little prayers under her breath for Irina.
Nice. Strahd takes a step back, and for anyone who's watching him, his form suddenly becomes irregular. It morphs and twists, and then in a cloud of screeching, organic flying things, he suddenly explodes into hundreds of bats that fills the air in the small clearing, whirling around like a tornado. You all become, a little bit panicked about all the screeches and all these bats that are uncomfortably close towards you, to you. But then they rise as one up towards the sky and flies eastward, leaving you only with the elven man.
I like his nose.
You gonna take it?
Oh my
no.
god, I'm gonna wear it?
Oh
A
no!
chemical ingredient.
Okay.
We're taking that man's nose.
With Irina on the ground, Asura will kind of refer to the party and our course of action now. Besides a proper goodbye to Irina.
Don't you have a heart? She's still warm in my arms, and you're thinking about the next tasks.
Yes, because the hardest part is to make sure none of you do anything so rash as to make matters so much worse.
Like what?
You can die. Illyria can die. Crocus can die. And this many more people can die.
Seems to be quite the theme event with people around me recently.
Yes.
What
That's
makes
why-
you think?
I'm sorry, go on.
What makes you think that doing anything different would make that worse?
Nothing. I'm depending on you as much as I will try to keep together in handling that individual so that her death isn't in vain. Never in vain.
I can't. It's too hard. First in Barovia. With Helenka. And now Madame Eva. And now Irina. What? I'm poison to you. I have doomed your life, and now you're...
She's gonna put a hand on Nyx and kind of kneel as low as she can. Kind of crane her neck downwards and say, "You poisoned my life? Not at all. I make the decision if your actions did poison me, and I don't let it to be such. Now, Nyx, take all the time you need. And I'll make sure you have that time. Okay?"
He nods and starts like pushing the hair out of Irina's face. Doesn't say anything more.
Right. She's gonna stand up and kind of walk back to where she was, just to interpose herself between the party and that elven man, patiently waiting.
He inclines his head in your direction as some kind of sign of being ready. And he clears his throat and he calls out very loudly in the loud volume I will not use. "Mr. Rado!" And it echoes through the trees, and behind you up the road a red tiefling shows his head, walking forward slowly, carefully, with practiced stealth. And you watch this tiefling for a few seconds as he carefully approaches, as the elven man ushers him forward towards him, and then it clicks. You have seen him before in the tavern in the village of Barovia. And later, at the outskirts of the camp in Tsirpool, his face could also be seen. And he walks up towards Rahadin, the elven man. I mean, it's not a secret, really. But stops.
Wait, we don't know his name yet?
No, he's never introduced himself.
Oops.
Yeah. Stops several meters away from the elven man, visibly scared but ready to please. Elven man nods and says, Your services are no longer needed with your current task. I want you now to take the body of Irina Goliana back to her brother.
Asphodel will raise like a hand, like a halting hand. Can that be done when the body grows cold? they need some more time to take it all in.
It's quite a journey towards the castle, and the Count awaits you. I do
Then
not wish to make him more annoyed than he already is.
then I hope you would appreciate that in doing the great favor of giving them time, that hopefully his guests won't be so rash and irritating.
You have 10 minutes.
I mean, I was about to say earlier before this happened that at this point, like we've had a little bit of just leave.
Well, you broke up there. Can you?
Illyria, it's just at some point during this conversation, I wanted to say it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Okay.
It's going to get up and just quietly make her way. It's Asphodel, sort of trying to get her composure back, giving Nyx some
space.
Some space.
Right. And then the elven man just stares at you all, keeping his eyes on you, with a face bereft of expression, whilst the tiefling, apparently named Pradu, stands aside like several meters at the edge of the forest, looking anxious in all directions.
Crocus wants to do two things. I equally have found it hard to get a word in.
There's a lot going on.
The first thing he wants to do is he wants to talk to Nyx, and he just wants to say that, Nyx, what's with the string of tragedy that's happened. It's not your fault. It wasn't you that burnt down the tavern. It wasn't Madam either. It's just what's happened is related to Strahd. This was done by Strahd. You need to steel yourself.
It is so hard to think of anything other than the fact that I'm the common denominator. The single thing that links everything.
Crocus wants to put his hand on Nick's shoulder and squeeze really tightly. In hopes of, and he just wants to say to him that we need you, and we will sort this out. We need to get revenge, but we can't do this like this. And then Crocus just gonna let go, and he wants to walk over to Asphodel and very kind of stealthily ask Asphodel something.
Okay.
Just not obvious.
Let's do a subterfuge with cunning.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Well, I think my cunning's free. Guessing. Roll. And yep. Me. Oh wow.
That's good.
He's sneaky. Crocus wants to talk to address Asphodel and say to her, Asphodel, you know vampires.
She nods her head sneakily.
Sneakily.
Like two blinks, two winks with her right eye.
That unnerves Crocus a little bit because there's a lack of eyelashes. You wouldn't happen to know the Tiefling appeared, which means Strahd may not. We might need others to find us to be aware of where we are. Do vampires have the ability to sense us?
Yeah, with great vampiric knowledge, what does Aspida know in this retrospect?
Exactly.
If they're able to sense you.
Yes.
Like what Crocus is leading on basically point out is we had to be tracked, we had to be stalked, whatever. So, Strahd didn't just come out of nowhere and find us. It's a situation that, we have. Strahd's gone.
Yeah. Well, as for that, let's do an intelligence check here.
Radio. Just straight intelligence.
Yeah.
God's gonna be clever.
Those can really are rolls.
No, she's not stupid. Not like Carillia.
Unless you got academics, vampirism, or something like that.
Certainly not academics in vampirism, but I can roll that in check.
No!
Beautiful, wonderful.
Yes.
Just like all dragons, she's all flaming muscle and the brain the size of a gooseberry. Oh dear.
I mean, from this very tense, panicked reaction that you all had to meeting Strahd for the first time, you feel like he can almost do anything. So, must have been probably that he have been able to sense you all this time to keep an eye on you.
Asphodel will simply say in a hushed tone to Crocus, quite possibly.
Crocus this whole time was like pulling on your jacket the whole time when he was asking you, and now he's kind of like, oh, just kind of like lowers his hand. He's just like fumbling his hand. He's like whispering to himself. It's like, hey, what do we do? What do we do?
Come again? I'm sorry.
Crocus is like, he's just fumbling with his hands now. He's just whispering to him. He's just talking to himself, kind of like going, what do we do? What do we do? He's trying to think of a way out.
Yeah, we have some tough choices to be made here. But I know one choice is really a bad idea. We're just trying to leave. Feels like a bad idea.
Okay, let me, for those who have any knowledge of Curse of Strahd, I make the character sheets. I don't use the normal character sheets of the named people, so. And I do not joke around, I guess. That's my GM talk for be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is a tense situation. So, Irina died, Strahd is irritable, the party is grieving, they're trying to rush this along. There's a lot on Aspada's plate right now! and she is gonna kind of make the gestures of breathe in, breathe out. Breathe
Find
in,
the calm center.
breathe out,
Oh.
find the calm center.
Okay. Alright.
It's like We Fit, that lady's voice, so calming.
I think we're closing in on 5 minutes right now.
Knowing that, the deadline, there's a time limit, of which Nix is gonna absolutely try and extend as much as he possibly can. he's also gonna be like looking like at Irina's, now expressionless face and about her person, and he starts to panic a little bit. Like, what if this is another instance where someone in his life is just going to be erased, much like Madame Eva, much like Alenka. He'll start to panic a little bit and like look about like on her person for like some sort of memento to remind him that this person existed.
Yeah. Underneath her shirt, like a little bit hidden, is a simple silver pendant to the Gleaming Lord, a mountaintop, half obscuring a rising sun.
Okay. He will attempt to sneakily, I guess. Well, he doesn't want to make anyone else know about it. It's not like he's going to be ripping it off her chest, but to try and unfasten it and pocket it.
Yeah, easily done. She won't object.
No one else would object. Looting the bodies. Okay.
Crocus only objects if he can't get involved.
Take her shoes.
I'm going for the nose. What are you on about?
Alright. Yeah, you take the pendant. And otherwise, there's in her backpack, in the carriage. You have sometimes seen her do it whilst you're camping or you're just traveling. And she's in the back, not in the front. And so she's brought out this embroidery kit. And had been embroidering like a scene of roses on white cloth.
That's more like a tool. It's not necessarily something that he can hold on to as a reminder.
You can unfasten it though from the round thing that you hold, and then incorporate it into some kind of fabric if you want to. It's not done, but yeah.
I see, like the actual work that she's done, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, but after
giving
the
you
point,
options. I'm giving you options.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's not necessarily an embroiderer, but yeah, the jacket he has, he didn't make himself.
No, that's true.
It's from
That's true.
Madame Eva.
Yep.
Oh dear.
It's just a collection of dead people's junk about his person.
Shit.
Yikes.
I would like to actually quickly say, since we're in the business of looting right now, because I feel like we're in the spirit of it, did she have any money?
Oh god.
I think
a lot of money.
unless you could find it in the carriage, if you try and look through her pockets, Nyx will kick you away.
Crocus wouldn't do that. He's into
do
borrowing stuff.
do you go into the
Running around
carriage
with a
and
sock.
look for what Irina has, Carcass?
No. I was joking. I'm not. That is just that's not within his character.
Okay.
That's within mine.
All right. Okay. You have about like 3 minutes more now. Do you want to do anything or just breathe, absorb?
Unless anyone else wants to do stuff.
Right. At the 10-minute mark, the elven man posture changes, and he also holds out his hand towards the tiefling. Mr. Radu, go ahead. With haste. We still might need your services more. Tiefling bows and says, whatever you require of me, Lord Radin. And carefully walks over towards Snakes and says, nothing personal, but I got orders. Move.
Nick stares at him defiantly.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just, you don't want to upset him, okay? You don't know what he's able to do. Now be a wise Vistani and follow the orders of the Countess Radin. If you know what's best for you. Now please don't put me in danger.
Nix will lower his head a little bit, still staring daggers at him, like glowering at him. Say, I know your face now.
Oh no! I'm sorry, I didn't expect that.
Alright, back to the moment. He's taking her back a little bit. I don't have any choice, just like you don't. Now resisting only makes things worse. If you follow suit, you will be rewarded. Just bet it that way. Are you a Vistani or are you not?
I've been told what to do my whole life, just like a Vistani. But clearly, there is a little more within me. Know this. What you do now, do not think you are safe just because you are following orders. And next we'll walk away from Irina and enter the cart.
Damn. Radu looks a little bit taken aback what you say, and like with wide eyes, like watches you leave Irina and disappear from his side. Shrugs his shoulders, sighs, and then gently, like firefighter style, takes Irina up into his arms and start like jogging away down the road back towards Barovia. The golden mane of Irina's head is the last thing you see before she disappears into the mists. Excellent. Says the elven man. Now named Radin. Get out of the way. Now, more pleasant news. Please enter into the couch and I will take you to the castle.
Asphoda will get into the coach.
Illyria just wordlessly does the same.
Krakus almost feeling like he's being left behind. Quickens his step just as everyone's just getting in. And hops in.
But Nix went into the cart, not the...
Into this thing.
You went into that thing. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What did you call it?
You said cart, and I'm
Not our cart, this cart. As in, like, he walks right by,
Okay,
like,
good.
his posture and his demeanor
Alright.
is like he literally doesn't care about his own life. Like, there could be like a beholder behind that, you know, within there, and he just literally does not care.
Bismuth dragon.
Sure.
Alright. Ta-da! Alright. Radin settles into the front and ushers the horses forward. Let's change some music here, huh?
Mystical, magical GM noises.
What?
That's a chant of GM, isn't it? When they all just sit around the table and go, then things change.
Exactly.
Like the stair transitions, you remember those? They were
Oh
amazing.
yeah, the stair things. Yeah,
You're stare blind.
yeah, stair blind.
We were blind.
Outside the windows of this carriage, the mountain forest moves past in a great green and brown mass. Despite the high tempo, the horses never complains, and the carriage still feels sturdy as it follows the road eastward.
Nyx sits there looking out the window like some sort of sad music video.
I was about to say that's what Illyria does.
That's cool. You can do it.
Let's be sad together.
Double edgy, yeah. And we can see on the map.
Coldplay is playing.
Yeah.
Why doesn't it? Wait, what happened to the map? Am I not seeing the map?
I need to let
There
it
we
load
go. Okay,
for a
just
second.
took a load.
I want to say, if the road's gone, then we're not going to the castle, and we can make our way elsewhere.
God, it's taking a while to load. Is it because I'm trying to load this app? Okay. Maybe it's that. There we go. For me. Yeah. You see the road you have taken so far. And we can also now reveal this road we will be taking. Bloop. That is the extent of what you traveled so far. At some Linkin Park. Oh. Nice.
My friend just died because she stood up for me. Give me a break.
Yeah.
And now we're on our way to have dinner with the man who killed her.
In a creepy castle.
Always
Yes.
missed Improphobia. Yeah, and there's a few hours of this about 2 to 3 hours of travel time here. So are you spending this time very depressively, like staring out the window?
I mean, not the entire time. I mean, but I think Illyria is still trying to sort her thoughts.
In this coach, most of us are very depressed, and right across from us is said man who made us depressed. Yeah, that's basically it.
Well, he's outside, right?
Yeah. He's driving
Mm.
in the front.
But yeah, I think we're all very depressed right now.
Crocus is not crippled by depression. He's more lost in what the hell to do.
How do I handle those depressed people?
Well, Crocus doesn't deal with depressed people. He deals with the fact that they're in a situation they can't get out of in the direction of something that's gonna in his mind, he's pretty sure he's a dead man right now. He's thinking, I don't want to be dead either. What do we do? But
I think
obviously,
Illyria is also still thinking about like what the fuck happened before, like when he saw her, and what he meant with like stay at his castle, like.
Until he's satisfied.
Yeah.
Oh dang.
Do any of you voice any of this?
Yeah. As for that hasn't forgotten. When all of a sudden Illyria screamed, and just out of nowhere screamed. And she's thinking, big thinking. She kind of takes a deep breath and says, Illyria, do you recall that time recently? Just like Crocus, you thought you saw something, except instead of Crocus, who just kind of panicked, you screamed.
And
So-
Lyria just sort of like almost jumps a little and is like, yeah, what about it?
Tell us again what went on in your mind during that.
Everything was white. It was like there was the sun out. There was no mist. And there was this man. He looked like him, but not. There are some differences.
What were the differences that you could tell?
His eyes and hair, I think. He had blue eyes, not red.
All right. What else happened in that vision of yours?
Well, I found myself standing there in this beautiful dress, and my hair was longer. Then he held his hand out. It wasn't really like I against, anything better. Like he made me feel very secure and very warm, and I gave him my hand. As he was about to kiss my hand, he was in pain, and then everything turned red, and it tried to grasp me, but when I broke free, then I started falling. That's when I woke up. Or, well, that's when I came screaming.
I see. A DM question. If I cast a minor illusion, would that minor illusion appear in a mirror? Like in a reflection?
Yeah, it would. Like, it would have no tangibility to it. Like, it would be nothing to touch, nothing to smell, things like that. But it's like creating like a hologram in the air.
Okay. Asphodel, with kind of a perplexed expression on her brow, turns to Nyx. Nyx, do you have a mirror? Or anything reflective? Anything at all?
Nyx is a little unresponsive at this point in time, I suppose. He has a costume in his bag. It's up to the DM whether or not a little mirror goes with the costume, but
Do you have a disguise kit?
No, I mean I sold that.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, I know something. I got another idea.
Okay.
Seeing that.
Otherwise, the carriage has these stained windows. It's not the best glass, medieval glass, but there can be some reflection there, but it's very faint.
You've seen he does have a tinderbox, which is kind of like a polished iron. It might be reflective, but that's about it.
I have a lady.
That's what I was gonna actually take her halberd, the flat end, kind of go squeaky, 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 kind of
Yeah.
get it all shiny,
Yeah.
But not really of a squeaky. She had to take out a cloth because I don't think you want to hear scales against metal. But she polishes it up. Can she see her reflection in it?
Yes.
Okay, she's gonna have the flat of it face Illyria, and then cast Minor Illusion to make her hair appear longer.
Oh, in the okay. Yeah, okay, I will allow that. So, Illyria, looking down upon your face, and then suddenly your hair grows longer.
Like this?
Something like that. Yeah. Why?
Well, with how he clearly regarded you, he certainly wasn't hiding the fact. And with how he responded to my questions and suggestions, well, you're somebody special to him, or at least somebody in your lineage. Nobody says you look just like her, except your hair is shorter. Out of nowhere.
It was very odd. And I'm still thinking about what he said. He said specifically for me to come dine and then stay until he's satisfied. What does that mean?
I certainly don't want to know what exactly he meant by satisfied.
Neither do I.
But case in point, you're something to him. And certainly that incident with your sudden blackout and screaming isn't a coincidence. If anything, it confirms with his reaction alone.
Probably.
What we do with it, I certainly have no idea without it being terribly obvious, but amongst all of us, I think you are technically the safest to interact with him in a way. Well, he'll certainly favor you at the very least.
Do I want his favor, though?
Depends how much you are willing to grit through it and how much you think it's an advantage to yourself. Because we are all certainly in quite a bind.
We need to get out of this alive somehow. Try not to upset him too much.
Very much so. I suddenly worry how fast he could travel when he's just a crowd of bats.
All right. Okay. You talk a little bit with each other, worried about what Strahd has said, what will happen next, coming up towards the castle. And there's also a long stretch of silence as worry, sorrow mingle together. Trying to come to terms with what just have happened. And trying to muster up strength for what is to come. And twilight comes, shading the green and black woods in a soft purple hue. But the world around you quickly grows darker and darker. Day has not only turned into night, but the weather shifts into rain clouds with distant roars of thunder. The road takes a sudden turn to the east. If you look at the window, the startling, awesome presence of Castle Ravenloft towers before you. It can't be long now until you arrive at the castle. And with that, we're gonna take a short break. Woohoo!
Woo!
Woo! Happy
Okay.
times! Refill your water, empty your bladders.
Do we have
Be right
time?
back.
Coffee.
Light a candle for Arena.
Oh my god.
I don't
Ah!
have a candle, otherwise I would. I mean, that's a lie. I have a candle. I have nothing to light it with.
I will
I'm
have
sure
a
I should be
confession.
trusted with fire.
What is the confession?
I'm surprised none of you claimed Arena's soul.
Oh, Jesus.
Excuse me?
That's like a sentimental thing. Bring her along the journey.
No!
There are different, like, cultural prefaces of this. I would say that it's up to the person. I mean, definitely somebody would say, like, it can be like a keepsake, I guess. As long as you don't consume the soul. Because that removes all personality and everything that made that person. And you cannot resurrect the person if you consume a soul. But, you know, there are other cultures that find that highly perverse. And those who are in between. So, it's up to you what you personally think about souls and what is morally right.
Right, I'm gonna go make coffee.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna refill my wine glass. It's necessary for the dinner. I need to swirl something in my hand.
I am back.
Oh, I go back. Also, Shed, remember to hydrate, okay? Important to hydrate. I'm ready whenever you are.
Oh, I'm ready and set.
Nice. Nice, nice. Adrian, you ready? Okay, Adrian hasn't returned. I think Sean is also gone. Julie? Oh, it's only you and I. Arrow?
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah. I should like try to clear out my desk. My desk still has like the panic clutter of studying stuff in which I'm not organized yet.
Wait.
Welcome back, Julie.
Welcome back.
I have returned.
Welcome back.
Why, thank you.
You have returned to the all happy and bright and glorious roleplay.
Absolutely.
Never sad.
Welcome
Never-
back.
yeah.
Welcome back to your trauma, folks.
Okay, now I'm back. Now I'm back for real.
Okay. I'm just waiting for Crocus. Ah, for sure. He's become Crocus.
I have chocolate now, like the adult I am.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
It was on sale like somewhere, so my mom got like a bunch, and I've never been happier.
What suspicious items have you been buying?
Chocolate.
Secrets, okay.
Very nice indeed. Okay. Let's bring it back. Alright. Travel for about 10 minutes more. Until see the castle clearly. The carriage comes to a dead stop before twin turrets of stone, broken from years of exposure. Beyond these guard towers is this precipice of about 15 meters wide, fog-filled chasm that disappears into unknown depths. A lower drawbridge of old, shored-up wood stretches across the chasm, between you and the archway to the courtyard of the castle in the distance. Rodin slows the carriage down, but doesn't hesitate. The chains of the drawbridge creak in the wind, their rust-eaten iron straining under the weight of the coach as you steadily make it across. You make it to the outer walls of the castle. From atop, stone gargoyles stare at you with their hollow eye sockets and grin hideously. A rotting wooden portcullis green with growth hangs above the entry tunnel, which the horses trot past unwaveringly. The coach stops in the middle of this forlorn courtyard, empty except for stubborn weed in between the stones and heavy wisps of mist. A light drizzle of rain down smatters against the wood roof of the coach, and you hear Radin hop down and move to the side, opening the door, and mentions for you to climb out.
Alright, now Asphodel will hop out.
Okay. Illyria also gets out.
Alright. Crocus, Adrian.
Crocus follow suit.
Nix. And Nix
Yeah,
too.
without a word.
As you step out of the coach, you take in the sheer scale of this castle. It is not the widest fortress you have ever seen or imagined, but it's high, and the two black stone towers almost disappears in the thick mists above. The main doors of the castle stands open already, a rich, warm light spills from within, flooding the courtyard. Torches flutter sadly in the sconces on both sides of the open doors. Rahadin politely postures himself to lead your attention towards the main doors, but keeps a distance away from you. Indeed, you have noticed the closer you are to him, the louder the moaning becomes, and it grates a little bit on your ears. Without any orders, the horses start to move on their own, trotting down the courtyard, carrying still the carriage behind them, disappears to the left into the mists. And Radin just keeps his distance a little bit behind you, still mentioning towards the castle, patiently waiting for you to take the initiative.
Asphodel will take the lead forward into the castle.
Alright. I hope everybody follows.
Yeah,
Alright.
I follow.
Crocus wants to follow, but he also wants to basically just have a look around so I get an idea of the layout of this place as he's going.
Alright. Well, there's this large, high, about 30 meters, thick and sturdy stone walls that is like the outer perimeter of the castle. And the castle sits on this solitary cliff with only the drawbridge as a connection to almost the mainland. There's faintly into the mists, there seems to be two more walls sectioning off the courtyard in like a forward and a backward section. But you have no idea what is behind the forward section of the courtyard. What you can see of the exterior of the castle in front of you is dark stone with thin arrow slits at even intervals. Two smaller towers jutting out and being a bit more forward than what the entrance is. And then this more tiled roof and visible beam above the stone section, and then these two large towers piercing up into the air, and it's hard to see where they end or their features on the top since it's very misty and cloudy and dark.
Okay, so there's no obvious escape routes. Awesome, thank you very much.
Yep. Okay. You pass the open, ornate outer doors, and you step into the castle itself. This first room you step into seems to just be an empty foyer of some kind. It's dark, bereft, but when your eyes search upwards, you see 4 statues of dragons glaring down on you. Their eyes flickering in the dim torchlight that seems to be set out in even spaces down here. And as you all have entered into this this hallway, as the last one of you take their step into there, the doors in front of you automatically open as well, like on cue, like the castle is aware of your movements. And as soon as you look into the dark and dimly lit hall beyond this foyer, there's an oppressive feeling to this castle. It's dark, damp, and a bit cold. And As Krakas had observed outside, that there doesn't seem to be any way to escape. That feeling bears down on you, that these walls might just be your tomb. Raiden clears his throat way behind you, still standing outside. Still doesn't want to get too close to you all. And you walk on into the Great Hall, leaving all natural light behind, accepting your fate. There's several columns in this hall with a vaulted ceiling. The torches casts odd shadows across yet another set of statues that is sitting in the roof, but this time it's 8 stone gargoyles instead, who squats motionlessly on the rim of the stone ceiling, and in between them is a domed, cracked, and decayed ceiling with frescoes that can be hinted. And if you don't know what that is, because I didn't know what that is, it's paintings from the ceiling.
It is.
As a fresco, apparently.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't know the first time. Good.
I'm trying to think why I know that, and I honestly can't tell you.
I know, but I don't want to be honest about how nerdy I am about things like that.
It's okay. And then in front of you are double doors of bronze, who stands closed. A lit hallway to the east that contains another set of bronze doors, and through it, which we hear softly, sad and majestic organ tones. To the west, a wide staircase climbs into the darkness. 3 red eyes glows from 3 richly dressed silhouettes, silently observing your entry. Raiden immediately turns towards the figures as soon as he enters behind you and says calmly, "The Lord does not wish your presence tonight. Begone!" The trio hisses in response, like vipers or large predatory felines, and with a rush of silk, disappears up the stairs out of view in blinding speed. Raiden offers a apologetics. I wouldn't say a smile, it's more like a jerk of his lips of trying to portray a smile, and then moves his hand towards the east hallway, towards the sounds of organ guests. I guess you.
I guess we're just walking towards it.
Right?
Yeah.
You walk into the eastern hallway. You pass through a hallway that ends with a spiral staircase that goes up and down, and then a suit of armor in a small alcove in the wall, oiled and glistening, stands at attention. And to your right, large double doors hang slightly open, and a steady, bright light escapes from the opening. Swells of organ music hums from behind the doors, spilling their powerful yet sorrowful music out. They open wide as soon as you approach. I'm going to switch the music.
It's rather dated.
Okay. marble crystal chandeliers brilliantly illuminate this magnificent chamber. Pillars of stone stand against dual white marble walls supporting the ceiling above. In the center of the room, a long, heavy table is covered with a fine white satin cloth. The table is laden with many delectable foods. Roasted beef basted in a savory sauce, roots and herbs of every taste, and sweet fruits and vegetables. Places are set for each of you with fine, delicate china and silver. At each place is a crystal goblet filled with an amber liquid with a delicate, tantalizing fragrance. At the center of the far west wall stands a massive organ. Its pipes blare out a thunderous melody that speaks in its tone of greatness and despair. Seated at the organ, facing away from you, Strahd seems to pound the keys in raptured ecstasy. The Count suddenly stops, and a deep silence falls over the dining hall. He slowly turns towards you.
Like a record scratch?
No, he turns around, a brilliant smile on his lips. Welcome. Let me say welcome again to Barovia and to my castle. Please, enter. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the apple wine. And he kind of, walks over and ushers you in. He walks over to Valeria and asks to take her elbow. If I may, my lady.
Illyria just lets him, trying her best to keep it together.
He gently takes it. His skin is slightly chilly, but not super cold, but a little bit chilly. And he gently moves you towards the table and says, I hope the delicacies that my kitchen has provided tonight will sit well in all of your tastes. I weren't aware of the local traditions in the Protectorate, but I hope this will do. And he goes up towards the head seat of the table and offers you the right side beside the head seat. Like
Illyria.
Draws out the chair and waits for you to sit down.
Illyria sits down, gives him a polite smile.
Tax you sharing to help you. And then with his hands asks the rest of you to come forward. Please, come, take your seat. Taste my wine.
She, Asphodel, will take a seat, though unsure about tasting the wine on command that keeps getting brought up.
I don't know.
Nyx will walk over to the table, like in between chairs, and just like grab the pitcher of wine and just like fill the entire like goblet up, like until it's like overflowing in such a distasteful manner. Like he just like locks eyes with Strahd and just drinks the whole thing and then refills again. And
God, what was that? Sounded like a crow for a second.
Oh my god, Asphoda can only pinch the space between her eyeballs, just kind of like, as she too pours herself an appropriate goblet of wine and takes appropriate sip. Without walking eyes to the guest.
Down the second goblet. Refills it.
Okay, how many are you gonna go for?
I'm going for as many as I can until it's empty, I suppose.
Alright, I think the pitcher would have maybe 4-5 refills in it. Let us make a vitality saving throw here.
Mm-hmm. Is it a poison?
At a certain point, it kind of becomes a poison, yeah.
Okay. I know my wine.
Damn, yeah. Mustani and all. Yeah, for now, you're fine. You are definitely feeling tipsy. The wine is affecting you, but it's not enough that it will like hamper your abilities. But if you continue, it might it might.
Nix looks for another picture.
Oh no!
Crocus wants to go over to Nix as he's looking for another picture. He wants to make sure that Nix stays away from any pies on the table. Just towards the picture which is nearest from the furthest point from any pie.
Well, there were 2 pitchers on the table. One is empty, and one is close to Aspida.
Asphoda kind of takes her picture and scoots it away from Nick.
Nix purses his lips at Asphoda and just like slumps into a chair in a kind of well, the posture is like out the window here, you know, like treating it like home, like kind of being disrespectful.
She simply says to Count Strahd, "Your wine is indeed delectable, and I would like to extend an apology for the behavior of a certain member here." And she looks at Nyx inebriated.
Nix gives like the most like shit-eating grin towards Asphoda quickly, and then locks eyes again with Strahd, and then like expressionless.
Crocus wants to sit next to Asphoda.
Okay.
He's going to pour himself a glass of wine.
As soon as you sit down, Krakus, and have a seat, the organ starts playing on its own, picking up the same song, but in more soft tone. Strahd smiles a bit strained at Nyx and says, I am glad that my wine is up to your taste, Miss Danny. I have my own wine cellars. I did not know that apple wine will suit you, seeing as your kind prefer what comes out of the wizard winery.
Nix slow blinks at him.
I have a few bottles of that as well. Maybe a bottle of Dulestomp to properly show my gratitude for bringing the emissaries of the Protectorate safe and sound to my castle.
Nix like raises an eyebrow and then gives like a kind of half shrug, half nod. Yeah. If you like.
Strahd claps his hands once, and from the ceiling, a figure falls down, landing softly on the carpet. Already in a bow. Yes, my lord. A bottle of Dulestomp from the wine cellar, please, Helga. Yes, of course. And she exits the door from where you came.
She dropped from the ceiling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know that person?
No, you've never seen it before.
Okay.
called her Helga.
Okay.
Small frame, servant clothing, a little bit tattered, a little bit dirty, with these pale blue eyes and ashen blonde hair.
Lear is quite surprised.
Strahd laughs a little bit in his chest, like a little rumble, and he says, "I'm sorry if I startled you. If they stand above us, we don't have to look at them.
Oh.
Makes the atmosphere a bit more private, does it not?"
I guess so. I find people dropping down above quite unsettling.
We are full of surprises, my dear.
Crocus, so the tableware, is it silver?
Yeah. The
It's-
forks and the spoons, are
Oh,
silver.
is the plate silver?
The plates are china.
Oh, okay. He wants basically to reach for something and use as a mirror to look up. Because he doesn't want to just, just very nonchalantly just look up.
All right, you can reach for some food to put on your plate if you would like that.
If that would act like a mirror so he can look up.
Okay. Let's make a quick perception with intelligence.
Oh dear. This is going to go heavily in my favor. Oh. It's not being very bright today.
I mean, it is pretty dark up there on the roof, but there's 3 chandeliers making this room bright, and there's the fireplace. In the very, very far corner of this room, in the ceiling, close to the door and to the right, in the right corner basically, are 2 huddled figures standing upside down, trying to not be seen.
Well, Crocker's going to feel a little bit sick in his stomach, and he's just going to kind of continue eating, but at a slower pace now.
Good. Partake in the food. All is for you. I have other needs. Do not worry about me. This is all for you.
Ooh.
We appreciate you really deep effort.
You're cutting in and out from
Yeah.
me, Julie.
Oh, we do really appreciate it.
I am most delighted to hear, my lady. Now, as you eat, we shall partake in some light conversation. Please tell me, I am dying to hear about your home. I am very curious about the Protectorate. Could you not tell me about it? There are a few news that came all this way to Barovia.
Oh, sorry. Is he looking at Illyria and Asphodel?
He is most often looking at Illyria, but he's trying to control himself. But yeah, when he asks this question, his body language turns towards both Illyria and Asphodel.
But mostly Illyria.
Well, the Protectorate is Well, what would you to know?
I am quite curious about the political situation in the archipelago. I have been removed from the world for a while. You see, there is there is this terrible curse that was put on me. And I haven't been able to leave my valley for for a few hundred years now.
Illyria, someone looks over to ask for the sort of giving her this look like should we tell him? Like
As for the kind of his, perks up at the mention of curse, and says, "Oh, lifting the curse. Wish information on that?"
You wish to know how I was cursed, do you?
Of course, there's stories all about, but the more reliable ones, or at least the ones with more weight, would always be the one from the mouth of said person cursed.
Well, it's a tragic tale. I do not wish to sullen this fresh relationship with such sad topics. It is what it is. I have heard that my Duchess, Nolnell, has become the leader of a large faction. Is this right?
Who is Nonell?
yes, she is.
As for that, to quickly remind you, half of Karna's is the Protectorate, and the other half is Duchess Nonell, which is the vampire who, you're fighting against.
Okay.
The
That's what I thought. I had to make sure I got two of them confused.
The
Okay.
half-orc vampire lady who's been warring against the Protectorate.
Gotcha.
Really? Well, she was always a bloodthirsty member of the court, but I did not know that she had it in her to actually rally so many subjects underneath her. She was never my favorite. I find the Protectorate to be way more fascinating. I do hope that you give her a lesson in humility, thinking she can take over as a savage.
Ah, yes, certainly her actions have indeed, regaled certain organizations to combat her. As try as she might, I believe she is also revealing more and more about herself and position.
As fascinating it is to hear that Nolnell has been able to create such a faction around her. It's also fascinating to hear that this non-vampire ruled faction that you call the Protectorate, is it not ruled by a dwarf named Copperbeard? Am I correct?
That would be correct, right?
Yes. If you're feeling now a little bit lost, you can always bring up the handout
Yeah, I have to hand out open
I'm
art.
like looking at the hand. That's like, where
I know
is it?
it's the Copperbeard Protectorate, but I wasn't sure if there's still like who has like the power. But
Oh yeah. The copper, dwarves can live for quite a long while. So,
yeah.
the copper
I
beast
just
is
wanted
good.
to make sure.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
It is very curious how you've been able to eradicate your vampire master to rise up on your own. It's almost a bit romantic.
Well, you know. Oh, I'm sorry.
It almost makes me wonder what new secrets that you hold, that you're able to challenge such might. And he leans in towards you, Asfada, with like a clear, curious, and almost ravenous gaze.
She merely looks back at the same composure as she had and states, "Well, you are familiar with dwarves, are you not? They are a stout and hardy folk, and when they don't like something, well, they'll surely make a fuss about it. Could say that Copperbeard was the loudest and most effective of them."
This is indeed true. That's why I never let the dwarves too close to my court. I kept them in their mountains. Incompetent fools who try to take over after me. You see what kind of chaos and war it creates.
So,
yes,
what
lady.
is your interest, relations with? What is it you're hoping for?
Frankly, I do not know how to lift this curse, and my Barovia is suffering. The people here is not the most cultured or worthy, but disease, plague. The ground won't sustain life like before. It's like the curse is corrupting everything that is thriving here in Barovia. I mean, even look at my castle. I am ashamed of how derelict it has become. My people starve. They are in misery. Less every year. And this phenomenon that they like to call halvers is very troubling. They do not function like normal people. Barovia is dying. Slowly, but surely.
Certainly that is the case when there are individuals that like to extort the people of their money for the needs that they can't truly afford, and then they fall into debt, and the cycle begins again.
Oddly specific. But
Yes,
this is this is what I want you to return. This is what I want you, Sir Asveda, to return to the Protectorate with. These joyous news. Any citizen who do not feel like they belong in the Protectorate are free to take their lives and their business and come and settle here in the valley. There is plenty of space. There's plenty of opportunities. And in return, I have treasure beyond measure for the Protectorate as payment for these migrants. hopefully we can revitalize this once great land with new fresh blood.
Could be a possibility. And is there like a window nearby that shows like the scene outside?
No, it's a closed room.
Okay.
But there's
I
a
think
nice fireplace.
That's true. She dwells like on the thought before saying, "No, that may be true, especially those who are take refuge in the more cloudier aspects of the islands. Otherwise, I think some might have to do a little bit of adjustments in terms of weather conditions."
Well, we can certainly try. I know it's a bit dour, but it is the natural conditions of this place, yet I feel it's been magnetized, increased.
Oh, why
Become
so?
worse. The curse.
Then what propels the curse forward? Certainly that if we knew of the method to do the opposite of it, it could alleviate some.
Are you sure you want me to partake in such sorrowful topics? This is your joyous occasion.
She looks around at this joyous occasion.
Illyria speaks up and is like, please, I also like.
He looks at Illyria for a long time. Well, it was centuries ago, where I yet had my family. We beat back Empress Shade's forces in this very valley. The more bloodful wars were fought on this soil, and the most hard ones. My honored father, Barov, fought and died on these lands. And in vengeance, I took up my blade and took his spot. I crushed Shade in my holy revenge. And then Karnas was mine for the taking. I wanted to usher in a new era of stability and prosperity. You might have received some propaganda from the Protectorate that Shade was a kind empress, a laid-back empress who let her people do what she wanted. But the truth was that she didn't care what happened. Bandits and local warlords took control of the areas of Karna's peripheral and caused much mayhem and suffering. I sought to unite Karnas into a unity, give safety to all of its people. But I was distracted. I decided to build my castle here in the honor of my family, my mother, and my father. You see, my mother died rather quickly after my father perished in battle. You couldn't stand the pain of being without him. Ravenovia was her name, and therefore I named the castle after her, Ravenloft. When it's almost stood finished, I turn my eyes towards the rest of Karnas, ready to pilgrimage all over it to ensure that prosperity and safety was ensured all over. But then I met her. And he looks towards Illyria again. A beautiful soul. Compassionate. Strong. He smiles to himself, but like this sad, but still happy smile as he closes his eyes, like reminiscing in old times, but with a rebellious streak. We fell in love. I never felt so happy since my parents have left me. You see, we live for a very long time, we vampires, and I've been with my father and mother for many centuries. It was like losing a part of your own soul. But she filled it to the brim and more. We married. But on that exalting wedding day, we were betrayed. We were betrayed by my own people. Barovians. Oh, but they weren't Barovians back then. The half-elves of the Sarovich Empire stormed the castle. And they took her. They took my Tatiana away from me. And with the power of her soul, when they realized that they couldn't end me, they cursed me instead. And now none of us can leave. They torture me, and I torture them, in an endless cycle of revenge. I have tried many things to lift this curse. I thought that Tatiana's soul was lost to me, consumed in this curse, and yet I wonder now if that is the truth. And his head turns once more towards Illyria, gazing deep and intently into her eyes with a thoughtful expression. Hopeful, almost.
Illyria sort of like looks at him. A tragic story, indeed.
Well,
Do I mean, this probably won't help me much against the fucking vampire, but is he telling the truth?
you can definitely try to roll an empathy.
I was like, oh yeah, let's try this. So that's like,
Asphoda as well, as she's listening to his story.
Okay.
Crocus gonna eat chicken.
You want me to roll another vitality saving throw?
Oh, you've been drinking all this time?
Heck yeah.
Are you in the pie
I
yet?
would like to say that Illyria barely touched any food or the wine.
Well, yeah. During this conversation, the pale servant woman named Helga returns, and silently, really like impressively silently pops the champagne du stop and pours like a glass very expertly for Nyx and puts down the bottle beside him and nods, and then she springs up to the wall and like a spider climbs up and joins the two other huddled figures in the corner.
Illyria is still quite unsettled by this, I would like to say.
Alright.
Also, what do we roll with?
Empathy composure. So a 13.
Okay, thanks. I didn't hear.
Sorry. He seems very sincere to you. His pain, his nostalgic happiness that almost like turns into exuberant joy when he speaks of this long lost love. How morose he is, like almost guilty of his actions in the past, of not spending more time or enjoying the moment more, and the depression of all these years being alone is evident and clear. And to you, he speaks the truth. At least he seems believable.
That certainly must have been one incredible woman to have caught your eye.
One of a kind. Well, I have been impressed by your ability to withstand the bloodthirsty nonnelle for so long. I have tried almost anything. I have extensive arcane knowledge. I've been cooped up here for so long. All one can do is read, really. I yet to find an answer to this curse. And he looks searchingly at all of your faces. Maybe not Nyx. He's kind of ignoring Nyx. Did you roll a vitality somewhere? Let's do a vitality saving throw.
You haven't asked me to.
Ah, sorry. Oh, okay.
Dum, dum.
You have disadvantage on your ability checks
Mm-hmm.
right now, as
I
things
just
are
throw your
starting to
words.
become a little bit dizzy, and you get a little bit more impulsive as well. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna do anything right this second, but good to know. Carry on.
There's still a question. Strahd asked basically if, seeing as you've been able to withstand vampire, that's just Nonel, he's wondering if you guys have any insight into how to break this curse, basically. That's what he said in TLDR.
Oh, gotcha. That's what I kind of dwells on this for a moment, for saying, well, unfortunately, the Arcane Purifiers, while they do provide our warriors and fighters with proper knowledge of the basics to handle Nell and her group, they wouldn't, or haven't, or possibly will not relinquish the details of something so great or specific to a mere individual as myself. I'm not that high up the ranks.
I'm far from scholar or high enough up the ranks to know anything that would be of use to you.
Carcass just looks sheepily. These people don't deal with magic.
Then
Apologize.
it
My
is
bad.
my sincerest hope that maybe one of these migrants who will appear in Barovia soon might have a clue.
Possibly, but doubtful. The Protectorate and the Argent Purifiers are quite protective, understandably, about the intel of certain things. I apologize if that isn't what you wanted to hear.
It can be rectified. Another letter that you will take for me back to the Protectorate, detailing my terms. And I'm sure that we can come to an agreement that benefits both parties. I was, after all, once upon a time, the Emperor of all of Karnas. This was my castle. And the riches of an emperor lies here.
Certainly a persuasive argument to a dwarf, yes. Though as they are, stubborn. Incredibly so.
I'm happy to hear. Now, you must tell me something about you all. There aren't often new people who arrive in this valley. The Argent Purifiers. Tell me about them. I understand that they are some kind of order of the mighty Boreas against the vampires. Is this true?
That would be correct, yes. If your enemies are vampires, well, it only makes sense to know how to handle them. If you wish to get any amount of leverage.
It's thrilling to have you dine beside me, Sir Asvida. There hasn't been anyone ever since my curse who has been able to challenge me. Maybe you would be able to make me try.
Challenge you? And why would I do that? That is never my intent here.
Unfortunate but true.
Well, is that what you wish? A challenge?
I wish to feel alive again.
Oh, I see. Well,
The days thrown on in this mindless blur.
I can at least understand that point of view. When you're stuck in a place doing the same things every day, it does, to a point, reach a, well, bland rhythm.
Indeed. Then I hope that you can understand how thrilled I am to have you here. You light up my day like a new moon turning to full
If that is so, may I suggest something?
You may.
If you wish to have a most satisfying challenge, I must ask to do so at a time when I am stronger than what I am now. If I feel that if I were to challenge you now, it would be a most disappointing bout for both parties.
If it ever would come to that, for them, I hope you will impress me before you inevitably fall.
Likewise, to yourself.
Now, Lady Lyria, your name hint towards nobility. Which house and which history do you belong to?
Oh, Feathermore? It's,
Feathermore. I do
Although-
not recognize the name.
ability doesn't that more?
New into nobility. I see.
It is mostly about what you're able to provide for the Protectorate.
And what does your family provide to the Protectorate?
My parents are both quite powerful spellcasters.
And you claim that you're not a scholar?
No,
Interesting.
I know a thing or two, but I decided to walk a different path.
You spoke of rank. I assume military rank.
Yes,
You became a soldier. Just like a crease in the eyebrow of dissatisfaction. Why did they send you to be my diplomat, my lady?
oh. I am, even though I don't necessarily very good at it, still ability. I certainly have more experience in different matters for a soldier.
This is true. You have a radiance about you. It's hard to tear my eyes from you.
Lyria is uncomfortable.
And he says this, slowly leaning forward and more forward, invading your space.
She just sort of gives him the politest smile she can muster.
Oh dear. It's the worst thing you can do.
He then turns towards he with a little bit of sourness to him, he turns. No. Why are you here? You are not
Crocus.
Vistani, nor are you emissaries of the Protectorate. I'm curious.
Crocus mid chicken is just like, Pugh!
He's
Wow.
been eating like all this time.
Oh yeah, he's been eating this whole time because two things. He's nervous because there's people hanging from the ceiling right now, and second, he's hungry because they haven't eaten in a while. And he's really like, it's like he's burying. Oh, he's like trying to fill a hole in his chest that will not fill because he knows he's buggered. So Marcus responds. I'm not here on any official business. I am, in honesty, a kind of a runaway from my people. I tagged along with the Vistani here in search of my own goals. My people are in. We're not in any way in too much danger, but I had wished to find. Well, I had hoped to find a new place in which my people could possibly settle. Your offer of welcome, of protect the people of the Protectorate coming, potentially could be of interest of my people.
They hold no love for the Protector's cause.
We have been separated from the Protectorate for a long time. They've only known of our existence for a few decades.
A few forest gnomes would certainly liven up this valley woods. And in return, what would your people want?
That I cannot be sure of. More than anything, protection, possibly support in our need for discovery.
Discovery.
We as a people are forever being. We're under siege continually by the denizens of our homeland. I am part of the clan Arod. I aim to be healers, and we are always looking for ways to improve upon our techniques, but we're forever under attack. So you can understand, we just don't have the time to do what we desire, which is to understand the world.
This is a joyous occasion indeed. You may return through the mists with Sir Asphodel. Return to your people. Tell them of these lands, and tell them that in return of the same safety that the Vistani enjoy, I would offer to you if loyalty was given back in the same amount.
I appreciate your offer.
Excellent. And now, I am also curious about the Vistani who have been following you all this way, escorting you. It was not my Vistani of choice. You took that upon yourself. And you don't feel like a normal Vistani. What are you? And what do you want?
I'm just here to drink your drinks.
Aspera just kind of rubs her temples. Deep breath, deep breath.
You merely wanted my wine in return of doing this favor for me.
This is no favor. I didn't do this for you. This is this for me.
And what will this do for you?
That's for me to know, and you go fuck yourself.
Oh no!
The eyebrows furrow really quickly, and then they relax and smoothen out, and his eyes stay at you, Nyx, and
Illyria is looking
focus there.
quite shocked.
Yeah, that was kind of well, you shall see what happens. Suddenly, Nyx, you get the feeling that Strahd is a long-lost friend. Somebody that you should be friendly towards, helpful towards, somebody who always get the your doubt from you, and you just want to do anything you can to please Strahd.
What kind of a feeling is it? Like it just happens, or?
Well, you, as he looks at you, those intent crimson eyes just start to mesmerize you, and your reality completely changes.
Mm-hmm.
Strahd is a trusted friend who should be protected.
Fair enough. I'm just trying to think, like, he's not in any danger, so.
No, but you now regard him as a trusted friend.
Okay.
So your disposition towards him changes.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked again, "My dear Vistani, would you not please tell me what your intentions are?"
My intentions, I mean, the same usual. Just Nyx are doing Nyx things. Nyx is still drunk, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
you're gonna be drunk for a few hours.
This is muddled, like changing of disposition whilst drunk. It's like, is it the wine talking?
That's true.
Maybe okay. Nyx might, as this like kind of triggers, as like Strahd looks at him. If his disposition changes whilst drunk, Nyx kind of like puts the goblet of wine down like on the table, and like drunkenly rests his chin on the back of his hand, like with his elbow slightly missing the table occasionally, and like stares back at Strahd in a very kind of classical way that
like you're trying to hold your eyes really, really open because you're gonna feel like they're drooping constantly.
Yeah. I'm like overcompensating. Like
Yeah.
Crocus would have seen this occasionally, like when we were in taverns. Like and Nyx starts to put on a certain expression, and it's terrible. It's like it is way over the top. He thinks he's doing an amazing job, by the way.
Yeah.
At Crocus, like you would probably recognize this as his flirty face.
All right.
Yes.
The whole.
And he kind of like does these like weird eyebrow things, but it just like comes across as twitchy. Well, you have certainly done well for yourself, even if you don't like it here. I just try to be hospitable. Clearly, I failed, but you know, I am quite charming. So, I don't know what you're doing later, but my plans have freed up.
Oh my god.
Illyria's head hits her face.
Alright. Okay.
There's
Okay.
an amused smile on Strahd's lips. And he noticed how Illyria and Aspena is twitching, and he holds up a hand and chuckles. Do not worry. There is no anger in my heart towards the Vistani. They continue to hold my admiration. It is, sweet.
Oh no, this twitching is simply from secondhand embarrassment.
I am hungry. Nyx may be hungry for some Vistani later tonight.
Well, maybe you know where I'll be. Maybe I'll know where you'll be.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
He like sleeks his hair back and does like this very awkward like stretch and like attempts to flex. Fails because he has no muscles.
Oh, what is the fattiest meal on this table right now?
The
The
fattiest.
fat.
Fattiest
belly,
meal.
like-
Pork belly on this
Well,
table.
there's a butter swan.
A swan made out of butter.
Yeah, this is actually a medieval thing. Like they took butter and they sculpted it, usually into a swan. So there's like a little swan made out of butter, so you can take parts of it and put on your bread. Yeah. That is pretty fat. I mean, and then there's some, a pie. There's some butter
Keep the bad body
toasted vegetables. There's some gravy. There's roasted pork.
Aspida is gonna take the butter, take that roasted pork, kind of like smother this roasted pork in all this butter, and then put some gravy on it, and then move it over to kind of push the plate over to Nyx and say, Nyx, I recommend that you eat this meal here. I made just for you.
I'm having a enjoyable conversation with my friend the Count. It's just between him and I. You do paladin stuff for that.
Eat this before I become forceful upon it. Come on, eat it.
Nyx does not eat. It's just like he's like trying to eye fuck Strahd.
Oh my god. She turns to Count Strahd and says, do I have your permission to perform an unspeakable act in the terms of this meal and this individual's stomach?
What?
What? That was a lot of words.
Are you gonna? I'm not sure if you're gonna force feed him, but
I want my Vistani a bit more lucid anyway when I fulfill my appetite later.
Well, this certainly will help it.
Indeed. Nix, why don't you partake in some of this delicious food?
Would you
For me.
kindly?
For me.
He does it in like a grotesque display of trying to be sexually
oh no!
with like the food. Like
Okay, I'm going to roll up a new character because Illyria just died from secondhand embarrassment.
Alright. Well, that's it.
Alright. Both Asphodel and Illyria, you take 6 psychic damage.
Oh wow!
no, that's a joke.
Alright, Asphodel, you know what? She's gonna bypass this frivolity of food. She's just gonna just pull, says like, "Thank you, Strahd," and slaps Nick straight across the face, giving him 5 points of lay on hands to neutralize the poison.
Nice. Alright, okay.
Illyria is starting to drink a bit more of the wine and just like
Escape. Alright. It's only neutralized poison, right?
Neutralize 1 poison.
Diseases and neutralized poisons. Yes. This will clear his system of alcohol.
yeah, that's Illyria right now. Exactly this image.
This is fine. Yes.
Also, she has realized that, Strahd never mentioned her leaving.
No. He pointedly said that Sir Asphodel and Crocus has his allowance to leave the mists and return to
Yeah,
protect
so she definitely noticed that.
Good.
We're out of here.
Just leave Illyria behind.
Wow!
Forget
Just
about
like,
Nick, please.
hey, Illyria, this vampire guy wants just you. Bye.
She's waiting on
We're
she's
safe.
waiting.
Jeet.
We're waiting on a appropriate moment.
Alright. So, you get slapped in the face, Nix, and through it, a warm spread for your body that just burns away the alcohol that is in your blood.
And I'm still attracted to Strahd.
Attracted is your choice.
I had to be attracted to him.
You can still be attracted to him. It's your choice. The effect of whatever happened just makes you change your disposition where he becomes a friend that you want to protect.
You don't want to bang all of your friends.
You don't know that.
But he does.
You don't know what
The
happened
gnome
on
knows.
those mushroom things with Crocus.
Oh no!
You don't know the Vistani way.
You know the mushroom way.
You could teach
Anyway.
me sometime.
Let's bring it back a little bit serious right before we end this. Alright, does Nix do anything? Should say anything after coming back to clarity?
Here, look at the Asphodel, who has just like killed his buzz. There is a very obvious contrast to Nix's disposition at the start of the meal and when it comes to now. So it's a question of whether or not the party would be aware of that or not. Nevertheless,
Well, you went from telling the vampire guy, went from acting up and telling the vampire guy to fuck himself to trying to I fuck him, so.
yeah, I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. So Nix will look around and get his composure back a little bit, and like turn to Strahd and say, Vestani does the best the Vestani can do. It was quite a feat to leave the miss to begin with. And perhaps you have something to do with that, and therefore I am grateful. Why you did that is still curious to me, so if you have questions for me, I have questions for you. As a friend, of course.
Well, I must confess, why Eva always protected you. I wonder why you. What is so special about you, Nix?
There's nothing special about me. I'm a screw up, and I have screwed up. All I wanted was a little bit of recognition in my amongst my Vistani kin, and even then I could not garner what I've sought out to do. And so here we are, with the blood of some friends and family on my hands. I'm just fine, of course. There's nothing wrong with me.
It's unfortunate to hear that you have suffered like this, Nix, when you did me this huge favor, even if I didn't plan that to be you. Madame Eva has always stopped you from interacting with the powers that be in this valley, but you left willingly. But it does no matter. You have succeeded in your task, and you shall be rewarded.
Will you let them go then? As my reward? All of them.
I shall keep Lady Illyria here, but
I was waiting for time to mention that you said you would keep me?
well, are you not a diplomat? I want to hear more about the Protectorate, and it's a bit of how to say, it's a bit of an assurance that Sir Asphodel will come back with the answer from the Protectorate. Please do not see yourself as some kind of prisoner or hostage. That you are not. You are just my honored guest.
Of course not. She gives him like a fakest smile.
But I will say, to those I must report back to, will be quite, putting it lightly, unhappy, if not, well, irrational. Irrational. I found the word. Irrational.
You
got
are
there.
free to return with a larger contingent of soldiers when on your return to make sure that Lady Lyra comes home safe. But she will stay until you have come back. Yet, I might be able to compromise a small amount.
What might that compromise entail?
I might be so generous to let... I understand that you might not want to be cooped up in my castle for long. You see, I see this as security, but I can see in your eyes that you do not wish to be stuck in here all the time. In return for freely being able to roam the lands of Barovia, I only ask something small in return.
Do you ask?
I'm sorry, go on.
And what would that be?
Your blood, my lady. May I taste you?
Ooh.
What knowledge does Asphodel has that when a vampire bites you?
Yeah,
You've experienced it, right?
Yeah.
Took a nibble. You have some knowledge about this. I will not ask you to roll a check for this because this is important information in the Argent Purifiers that you have come across. The vampires require blood as sustenance, and it's not really the blood, but they suck out a part of soul energy through the blood, and that is what sustains their immortal life and their powers. The victim is weakened, but does not become a vampire just from a bite. There's something else that is required that the Argent Purifiers do not know about.
Oh, I see this. Okay. She looks at Illyria's face. Does it look like she thinks she might turn into a vampire, Illyria?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. Would Illyria also know this information or not?
Yeah, I mean, if the military, sometimes are tasked, to go up against Duchess Nonel's forces, and there are usually some kind of lesser vampires in those ranks. And I mean, I'm sure there's been soldiers who are like, no, I don't want to go up against vampires. If they bite you, you'll become a vampire. And the higher ups will tell you, no, it will just hurt, but you will survive.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
I would feel like maybe she might know. She's not too keen on it, since Strahd has been nothing but a fucking creep.
Fair.
I will point out though that you still have this.
Oh yeah, she still has this confusion about
both fear, but there's also longing there and recognition.
Yeah, I'm keeping that in mind. Don't worry. But just as Julie,
Great. And Strahd is intimidating, and has killed Arena, but in the same time, he's incredibly charming, and he has an aura, a strong aura.
If a quick thing, if Lyria agrees for the blood to be taken, is it possible that Crocus could put it into a cup?
What?
Rather than have him go nom 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 on her neck or her arm or something.
You can try to
Well, that's up to Illyria whether she wants to go down that route. I'm only saying because I'm chief medical officer here.
I'm not sure Illyria is entirely comfortable with Krakus taking her blood either.
But he has shiny scalpels and tools. Make it look professional.
Yeah, true. There is a scalpel in the medical kit.
I hate to tell you, but Illyria is not yet at a point where she trusts Krakus with a scalpel.
I can imagine that Illyria looks over the table towards Krakus, and Krakus is just lifting the scalpel over the table with like a smile on his lips, and like, huh?
He's just rolling out the kit. I mean, there's lots of tools here. He's
Okay,
bringing
okay.
out like a
Like bringing
scalpel,
up the
bringing out
tool,
some other
like,
stuff.
and then Illyria's like, no.
And you will allow me to roam your land freely.
I promise not to partake into so much that you are out of commission. I promise it will just be a small bite, an appetizer for the main course. And he looks over towards Nyx.
Illyria is unsure about like how to feel about this. But he just sort of looks at...
If it cannot be helped, I do have a comfortable guest room in the South Tower. I will make it as comfortable as I can for you. How long will it take for us for that to return? A few weeks, perhaps?
That sounds reasonable enough. A few weeks. Who knows how long my superiors will bicker on a decision.
Illyria is just somewhat like studying Strahd, like trying to figure out like still what is going on, but after some time of consideration, she will say, "You can have my blood."
Brilliant. Most excellent. Before I lose some of my senses, if you would ever travel towards Vallaki, Illyria, you need to come into contact with me. And you're far away from my wolves or my bats. There is a man there, a spy of mine, Richten. If you find him, you will come into contact with me if anything would go wrong, and of course you're under my protection.
What's the name?
Richten. Richten.
Okay. Thanks.
Now, I must apologize for the rest of the table here. I simply cannot contain myself. And he stands up, walks over to your chair, to the side of you, and holds out a hand for you to take.
Illyria sort of takes a deep breath and takes it.
He gently tugs you up from the chair and walks out onto the carpet a little bit further, with your back, with his back against the fireplace. He gently takes you into his arms, a hand securely around your waist, another one brushing the hair from your neck, and he leans you down like that dance move where you're lying in somebody's arms, and he reaches down, his breath tickling your skin, and he whispers, "I hope it's you." And then there's a piercing sensation of his fangs piercing your skin in your neck, and he slowly but steadily drinks some of your blood. It's not all unpleasant because of his the way he does it. It's quite gentle. The fangs, of course, are fangs. It's never nothing to get out of there, and blood coming out of you is kind of uncomfortable. But the, your heart still flutters a little bit from this whole this move he made with you. He stiffens after a few seconds and lifts you up, and from his eyes are these red streaks of blood, like he's crying. And he cups your head gently and says with a smile, "It is you, my Tatiana." And then with a blur, he escapes the room. And with that, we're gonna end tonight's episode.
Yeah.
Of course, it's Strahd.